Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Some awesome stuff, right? We are here for another round, another session of our weekly check-in. This is the week of the 22nd, and it's going to be kind of quick. With the holidays approaching, we're going to knock this out really quick. I just want to make sure that you guys know that I'm going to be here and you can trust that we'll have some content up. So here we are. Here we are. Thank goodness. Well, let's get this show on the road. So let's start with our channel updates. We have recently finished four titles, 2 novels, and 2 graphic novels. Yes, good stuff. We finished The People of Sparks, dystopian adventure between 2 main protagonists, Dune and Lena, who find out in the first title that they've been living underground most of their life. Well, all of their life. Yeah, their whole life living underground. They didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't know. And that story is about them escaping and finding out and getting out into the open world, the real world. Prophet of Yonwood was book 2 in that same series. And this is actually a prequel to the story, and it's about the conditions of the world prior to the world's thriving. People are everywhere, and they're entering into the conditions that's going to lead to this post-apocalyptic planet. That was the city. That was the Prophet of Yonwood, and then of course 2 graphic novels. Great stuff, great stuff. 2 graphic novels. One of them, The Girl Who Owned a City. And this one was pretty sad. I'm not much. This is a teen, I guess you can call it YA graphic novel. I'm not much of I love topics and titles of children experiencing children's drama, not adult stuff. But in The Girl Who Owned a City, all of the adults die because of a virus. It attacks people out of a certain age, something like probably like HPV or something. It just, once you become a certain age, you fall victim to this virus. So all the adults die. Please excuse me. I don't really mean to be rude, but I'm slightly parched. And it's always best to drink it hot, right? That's really good. I did really good with that one. That was good. So a group of children living in a specific neighborhood, of course, when you have post-apocalyptic dystopian environments, you have the battle for power, battle for control. So the other kids form gangs, and they, instead of trying to survive on their own, they torment the ones who are trying to organize and take what they've got. And that's what this story was about. So a young lady, she ends up gathering a bunch of children and putting them up in an old school and forming a community. And they all chip in, and they're all fairly intelligent kids, fairly capable. They build an entire social structure. And then, of course, the bullies come in and try to take over. And we'll have book reports up for those hopefully soon, going into the beginning of December. I've not put out a book report in quite some time. And then, of course, Graceland. Now, Graceland is actually a graphic novel based off of a regular novel, right? That's pretty cool. I didn't realize that until after I read a little bit about the author. And there's a little bit of an intro story about the development of the graphic novel. And it turns out that the individual, the illustrator for Graceland, is a friend of the author who read the story and said, "Oh wow, this would be great as a great graphic novel," and presented it to her with a couple of photos, and she was ecstatic. It wasn't something that she had thought of herself. Her friend came to her and said, "I read your book, and here's a couple of photos. What do you think?" I drew. He was an illustrator, he's an artist, and she just fell in love with the art immediately. So the Graceling was actually a novel. It's a full blown novel. So that was pretty good. I'm probably gonna look into that a little later. But the Graceling is about individuals that are born with specific abilities, talents, or skills, and there are few and far between, and most of them they have to be kept away from the general populace and used by the king to perform his services or whatnot, and to protect them, because the open public, they might have mind reading abilities, they might have special fighting abilities, whatever it is, but their abilities make it uncomfortable for the regular people around them to be around them. So that's what that whole story is about. Then, of course, with all that, there's a lot of propaganda going on, a lot of conspiracy, a lot of manipulation, and this is back in like medieval times. So you have kings out there that are using these things for their benefits to grow their kingdom. And of course, conspiracy pops up, and a young prince finds out that his grandfather was kidnapped and that there was a plot afoot. And the Graceling is about he's actually a Graceling and another Graceling trying to find out where, recover the grandfather and find out what the plot is. And so that's, that was why he was kidnapped. So that was pretty good. So that was the reading that we recently accomplished. 4 books, 4 titles. It was pretty interesting, good stuff. And then we did the what else? The collection series. That's got me out and about, y'all. It really does. I am really out there nowadays, trying to find these books. I am in the legwork of the research for these books, and I am down to 8, just 8. I got 8 more to find, and we're still working on that. So we're working on that mostly this weekend. I have received one more. And so we'll be doing the. I want to try and get at least another one in so that I can have I do the reveal and the unwrapping. That video will be coming up pretty soon. And then because that's got me out and about looking for these titles, of course, I've been visiting a lot more local bookstores, used bookstores. It's been crazy. And because of that, there is going to be another bookstore challenge. It's going to be a bookstore challenge part 2, and it's going to be amazing. It was this particular one it's I found a new used library. Yeah, I found another. I found my used library. So we got that. What else we got? We got the Diamond of Darkhold. Now this is book number 4 of a 4-part Book of Ember series. And unfortunately, I may have to do this one via Kindle because my local libraries, plural, doesn't have the book in stock. So it's either they've got the audio or I can use Libby and get a copy of it in an ebook format. So I think that's what we're going to have to do. I got hooked on this one. I only got one book left. So, right? What do you do? What do you do? You do what you got to do. So, Diamond of Darkhold, book number 4 from the Book of Ember saga. And that's what we got. So, and that's pretty much it outside of getting ready for Thanksgiving. So we know we're in a new location now, and I have been on the move, traveling back and forth between states. Haven't had like a little place of my own, like talking about. And now it's time for me to get back into being able to host my family celebrations. So my boys and I will be spending Thanksgiving dinner together before going out and traveling, almost like what most families have done traditionally with Christmas. You know, you wake up in the morning at home and you do what you do, and then if you have a large family that lives in the area, then you spend the rest of the day traveling from one house to the next. Yes, you know, for the older folks, they don't go nowhere. You got too many people to visit, so instead of them driving all over town, you go to them. So we may end up doing that. My sister's planning on hosting some, dining. She has the largest part of the family. My sister's family is huge, humongous. It's just me and 2 boys in my family. And my baby brother, his family's growing. That's what I wanted. Folks probably don't know, but I wanted to have at least 6. Yes, 6. I wanted to have at least 6. I wanted to buy this huge acreage of land. I was gonna move them all out there. I was gonna put them all in fatigues. I was gonna change my name from Mister to General. But unfortunately, when I was building my family, came to find out that the ex couldn't have them naturally. She couldn't birth them naturally. So yeah, I did put a stop to that. Too much pressure on the body. Anyway, so my rip list. What are we currently reading? Right, we're reading. We're already started. We're halfway through Grand Theft Horse by Neri. This is actually, it's a graphic novel, but it's actually based off of a true story. So Neri wrote this story about his cousin, and his cousin was the horse trainer. And so, yeah, I found that out just recently. So Neri's Grand Theft Horse, and like I said before, this is a horse trainer. The horse gets injured. They spike the horse. They give it these drugs in the first place. It gets injured, and they want to keep racing it because it's a really good horse. But one more race, and this horse is, it's not going to make it. So the trainer ends up kidnapping the horse, and we're halfway through that story. I don't know the end result, but that's Grand Theft Horse. We're also reading the Lonely Dead, of course. April Henry. This is the main protagonist has the ability to it's kind of like this sixth sense with I see dead people. Yes. So that's the theme. That's one reason why I grabbed this one, because it really did seem like it is definitely a Bruce Willis Sixth Sense. That was written by, who was that written by? M. Night, right? M. Night Shyamalan. And so this story reminded me of that story, and I thought it might be interesting to watch. One thing I do appreciate with M. Night is his ability to create some nice twists. I like stories with twists. I like stories with surprises. Mm. I added some vanilla. Oof. Yes, great stuff. And then, of course, a little bit of a thicker title. Doesn't look like a difficult read, though. Uh, Missing You. And this is the story about a female police detective signs up on a dating app, and she ends up running into an old fiance. And, of course, it turns worse from there, causes problems. I don't know more than that. I don't want to read too much. I read some people call them the blurbs. I read the blurb, read the synopsis on the story, but I don't know. I mean, if that's the thing about reading books, then why read the book, right? I think the summaries actually help me from time to time, especially when it comes to like selecting a book, because I'm trying to find titles that fell through the crack, and I'll end up coming across authors I've never heard of, and so there's like Natalie Richard. Natalie Richard is a YA author, and if I come across, it's kind of hard to find some of the titles, but when I come across her title, I'm probably going to grab the book without knowing what the story's about, knowing a little bit about what the story's going to be about. Don't have to read the blurb on the back. Don't have to read the summary, the synopsis. I don't have to do that with her titles because I've read 3 of her, like she has like 11 books or something, not that I know of. And so I don't have to read the back, but I do have a tendency. So it's something that comes and goes. Right? I don't like never read the blurb, and I don't like always read the blurb. So it's a book by book basis. So that's my thing. But those 3 titles: Grand Theft Horse, then I have The Lonely Dead, and then I have Missing You. And that is our reading list for the rest of the month. I got a week and a half. And is it 20th? A week and a day or two. 8 days, 9 days. Yep. See how fast I can get those books done, right? Me, of all people, reading fast. Okay, yeah. So that brings us to Bookish Texas. Last week of a holiday month. And so we're looking at the... not the 16th, the 22nd through the 30th, 8 days, the 22nd through the 30th. And we have, what do we have? We've got the open poetry mic and storytelling hosted by Black Pearl Books in Austin, Texas, November the 23rd. That is Saturday. So yeah, open poetry, mic, and storytelling by Black Pearl, hosted by Black Pearl Books, Austin, Texas. We have the Reading Wonderland Book Fair. This is the Dock Bookstore, right? The Dock Bookstore is what it's called. Bookshop, the Dock Bookshop. That's in Fort Worth. Excuse me. That's my hometown. Right? Yeah. So, Reading Wonderland Book Fair, the Dock Bookshop, Fort Worth, Texas, November 23rd. Rhythm of Poets. This is something pretty interesting. It's hosted by the Patchouli Joe's Bookstore in Denton, Texas. That's going to be November 24th. Wow, is that Sunday? Once again, Sundays, man. I guess, not everybody goes to church. And I guess there's enough people that don't do that get out on Sundays. Anyway, once again, forgive me. Rhythm of Poets, Patchouli's Patchouli Joe's Bookstore in Denton, Texas, November 24th. And then my new place, my new bookstore is actually a library annex. Half price book sale. There's going to be 2 of them, December 2nd, but the first one is going to be November the 30th, Keller, Texas. Friends of the Keller Library. Now, you're going to find out in Tuesday's video just how vital, how essential, how wonderful this library, this used bookstore really is. Friends of the Keller Library. I'm trying to tell you, wonderful staff. Oh my gosh. They're all volunteers, by the way, too. They volunteer. And they are, most of them are, former, librarians and paid Librotex. Anyway, half price book sale, right? The reason why this is so vital, because I'm trying to tell you, you won't need a whole lot of money. You won't need a whole lot of money. The books are already at amazing prices, but they have so many books that they actually donate a lot of those books to the free library. So I found out that this particular library, this actual bookstore, is the biggest contributor to the free library at the VA clinic that I visit. Right? I have been collecting most of these books that I have back here, right, are from the free library at the VA. And I found out this past week that the Friends of the Keller Library donated them to the clinic. And so, yes, they have a half-price book sale on November 30th in Keller, Texas. It's not too far from where I am, actually. I didn't see much. There's a couple of book signings, some meet and greets. This all the way up through the 25th. After that, nope, nobody's really doing anything. Holidays. It's the holidays. And that's our list for Bookish Texas. There's only four things on there. 4 things that I was able to find that are still taking place all the way up through the 30th, from tomorrow through the 30th. Tomorrow, the 23rd through the 30th. Check them out, people. Check them out. You might catch me at some of these things. The hard part is there's a small window. Friends of the Free Library. It's a small window. So if you're going to go, you might catch me there. With I gotta save some of the book buying money that I've been spending, so I can buy me some shelves. Anyway, yeah. So let's get on to the weekly topic. And I know I didn't make an announcement, but this is a big one, people. This is a big one. Our weekly topic is, are public libraries a dying breed? And it's less of a questionnaire for me. This is just one of the topics that we're going to discuss today. And I would love to hear back from you on the points that we are going to make today, because I know that they're not a dying breed. I know that they have been getting budget cuts and all this other kinds of stuff and having all these difficult issues. I know they've closed a few and they've shrunken a few and, blah, blah, blah. And the ones that are still thriving, they're pretty high tech nowadays. But we are going to speak about a specific aspect of the public library. So this topic is directly referring to the existence and the benefits of public libraries as it pertains to the common reader. And by public libraries, I am specifically referring to libraries that are owned and ran by local municipalities, and that they have their operating budget provided for through city funding, public city funding. Public libraries. There's a difference between public libraries and private libraries that are open to the public. We're not going to talk about those this week. We're going to talk about public libraries and their essentiality to the common reader. Now, how much do we know about our public library? How much do you know about your public library and the services that they provide? Right? I mean, who gets the best use out of them? Does the preference of owning a book supersede the option to borrow that same book? And if so, why? Is it out of consumerism? Is it out of convenience? Is it out of availability and stock? Why is there less of a preference to use your local library? So, as a reader that just wants to read a book, is your local public library not a preferred choice? Is there a need for it outside of its additional services? The essentiality of libraries has been under attack for as long as I can remember, going back to even being a child. And the need for them to be more than just a collection of books that you can borrow has become a priority. And although most of them and so many of them continue to survive, it still boils down to, can the city continue to maintain the financial burden of keeping them open? And when that happens, how does it affect the library? How does it change the library? And why? Where does this stem from? Where does this stem from, right? Because as a common reader that reads specifically for entertainment, now, I've used my public library for all of the additional services. What does it stand for? It's a beacon of a safe haven. It's a beacon of a learning institution, right? Of community support, and it's there to provide services that are otherwise unaffordable. So is it a low income place for folks? Is that what its primary source is for? Because I've noticed that, and this is just to put it into a little bit of more perspective from the direction that I'm coming from, is that my visits to the library don't quite mirror those visits to the local grocer. An odd comparison? Let me explain, right? At the store, I'm constantly running into other consumers that are constantly in the way, having to wait a turn or plead by interruption to access shelves blocked by other users. I don't experience that at the library, right? Regardless of how busy the library may be. Now, when I go to the library, there's all kinds of things going on. There's always folks there. I'm always complaining about somebody's child or some adult, young adult, that is a distraction. There's always things going on. But they're going on outside of the aisles where the books are located. My local library has a 3D printer. It's constantly in use. My local library has a video game assortment for Xbox, PlayStation, and PlayStation 4 and 5. Nintendo Wii that you can borrow. That section of the library is constantly busy. There is a play section where they got toys and large puzzles and a standing Connect 4, always in use. Computers, the internet service. That's kind of hard to get to a computer, as most of the times during the day because they're being used, right? And there are folks that are checking out a book too, grabbing a book off the shelf because they're studying. But when you go in there to grab a book, how often are the numbers of folks that are in there actually in the way when you're checking out a book, or when you're trying to find a book, or when you're trying to search those aisles? When you're going up and down those aisles, there's no inconvenience as far as other people being in the way. Why? Because during the times, at least my visits, the average reader, the ones who's just reading wants to get a book, they're not there. They're not there. And I've noticed that it is far more convenient to go to a bookstore, find the book, buy the book, and walk out. But there are, even when I go to Walmart, Target, I've even stopped at Dollar General, and there are people in the way at the. Is there a preference to buying and owning the book? And if so, why? What is drawing that away from the library? It always has me slightly curious as to being grateful that the library is there. And I know that this isn't like overtly uncommon. We've got quite a few folks, especially a lot of the folks here in my BookTube community neighbors that are advert library visitors. They love to use their vibe. Joe and Mary are constantly, two of my faves, of course. They'll even produce a lot of their content while they're still in the library. But the majority of folks, their content, I see it. They're at bookstores. They're at bookstores, right? And so, with all the things that are going on with the public library, what are some of the things that they face, right? What are some of the issues, right? Public libraries face location, right? They're going to have to be in the area where the most people can get the easiest access, because they need that place, they need that location so that they can provide those services, right? They can't be too far away from their target audiences. Their catalog, how do they get their books? Where do they get the books? Which books do they get, right? Staffing, can they afford to pay for those folks? Your average librarian is a trained individual. You remember, librarians were just short of being teachers. The libraries in my generation, when I was growing up, they were as knowledgeable as teachers. And you went to them for more than just, where do I find this book? You can walk up to them and say, I'm searching for this type of information, and they can show you how to use the microfiche. Am I dating myself? The microfiche. They can show you how to use the card catalog system. They'll tell you where the doggone books are by category. Oh, you're looking at this here. Oh, you need to check your book out. My library has this completely automated checkout service, and it's amazing. I can walk in with a stack of books this tall right here, and just set them on the scale, and then scan my card. And I don't have to individually scan any one of those books. It just immediately checks out every single book. Just boom, scan my card, boom, boom, grab the books, walk out. But the systems are sophisticated. They can walk you through all of that. It's so much stuff that they can do. Show you how to use the computer to find your, how to navigate the card catalog system, find out which books are where. Right? And they also have issues with, providing certain services because they do more. They do job hunting. Some of these libraries have job training skills that you can take, classes that you can take, story time, social events, local social events. They post all these different things, and of course, they're used for municipality stuff, voting. So with that, that's where the priority is. Or is it? What's your personal take on it? As a reader who just wants to grab a book, is there a reason why you wouldn't go to your local library? And it could be a plausible. This is no judgment. This is something that libraries have a tendency to have to do. And how do they do that? How do they go about? Because they're basically employees of the local area. And they're there to make sure that they can provide the services that are needed by the community that they support. Right? So we already know, they've got books. You can check them out. So that's not something that needs to be, no, they got books. But when it comes to that simplicity, getting away from that, what else can we do to make ourselves essential for the area? How can we earn that budget? And so they're faced with all different kinds of issues. Are public libraries capable of surviving this digital age? Like if everything is moving to ebooks and online and internet access, is there a need for the public library outside of these other services? Is it becoming more of a social service area than a library, an information institution? Right? Can libraries be about only books and still compete with the other services? Can they compete with online bookstores? Can they compete with local bookstores? Remove all the additional services. Forget about the fact that you can go to the library and use their computer to print out the job application, fill it out, scan it, shred, all these other different office things that you can do on a personal level. Forget about that. Remove all that. If the public library was only about renting books, would it still be vital? Will it still thrive? What's your point on that? What do you think? What's your input, right? So, what are your preferences for using the library? What about the library, when it comes to reading as a reader, that will cause you to choose the library over going somewhere else? And there's a lot of folks out there that they don't have library accounts. The library is too far away. The library doesn't have the collection that they need, and when every single time that they go, they don't have the book that they're, especially a lot of folks, if you're one of those individuals that like to read popular titles, the library can't carry enough of those titles to be able to provide a copy for everybody who's interested in reading it. I get that. But they've got the apps that can provide you the information to see if you're there. I don't really need the popular book or the newest title, right? And so, would you option towards using the library when you're financially capable of just buying the book that you want now? What is it that prevents you from being able to go to the library? And I have my cousin, she's the same way. She buys books. And so I'm a hobbyist. I got lots of hobbies. I got a lot of things that I spend money on. And if I don't budget myself properly, yeah, I couldn't. I gotta take turns with the hobbies. And if I get too caught up on buying stuff like this and just running through it, I would not be able to enjoy the other things that I enjoy. But my cousin, she doesn't, she wants to own the books. The hassle of having to return it bothers her so much that she would rather just buy the book. And then the inconvenience of having to go to the library when the library is open. And if your library is not vital enough inside essential enough inside your community, then the number of hours that it's going to be open is not going to be very useful. There's all kinds of things that changes the need you have for your library. Well, that's my topic for the week. That is my topic for the week. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed visiting with us today. Get out there and check out some of those other channels out there. And oh yeah, I didn't do that, did I? I did not pick out a channel reference. I'm gonna say Noel. We're gonna promote Noel today. Noel is a former Marine. Noel D. Her channel is going to be I don't know where her channel went. Oh, there it is. Noel D. Reads. There's another one out here. Yeah. Noel D. Reads. She's got 5. She's still in the process of putting her channel together. But yes. Support your troops. This is Veterans Month, right? She is a former Marine, and she is a booktuber. So we are going to, Noel, you are our channel referral for the month or the week. And you guys going out there, check out our channel, hit her with a subscription, and let her know. Give her a talk. She responds. That's another reason why I like recommending folks. I'll recommend folks that love to interact with the community. The community is so big, right? It's so important. So Noel, you are our channel referral. Good Lord. Let me clip this thing off right now. You guys have a wonderful weekend. And thank you for joining us today. And as always, you guys, keep on reading out there. Keep reading.